We bought you a trip. My daughter-in-law said it into the microphone like she was honoring me, like I was the lucky one. The room erupted in applause, and I stood there with a smile glued to my face because I understood it in one heartbeat. This wasn't a gift. It was an eviction. Wrapped in ribbon. If you're watching, please hit like and subscribe. Seriously. I want this story to reach every corner of the world, because what happened to me happens to more mothers than people want to admit. And I want you to learn from me. When a room claps while you're being pushed out, that's not love, that's control. My name is Rosa Calderon, I'm 67, widowed, and I raised my son by myself after his father passed. I'm not dramatic, I'm not loud, I'm the type who keeps receipts, pays on time, and stays quiet so everyone else can have peace. That's why my daughter-in-law, Maria Salazar, chose a microphone. Because microphones turn cruelty into a performance. It was my son's birthday, my son Alvaro Cruz, and the party looked like something out of a bridal magazine. The venue was a private event hall in Houston, all gold balloons and chandelier lighting and a dessert table that sparkled like a trophy case. People were laughing too loudly, the way they do when there's money in the air, and nobody wants to look like the person who doesn't belong. I was standing near the edge of the room, clutching my purse strap, waiting for the right moment to walk over and hug my son. I'd done my hair, navy blue dress, simple makeup, not to compete, not to impress, just to remind myself I still existed. Then Mireia stepped in front of me, smooth, smiling, cold. She didn't whisper. She didn't pull me aside. She turned slightly, angled her body so the crowd could see her face, and I could feel the eyes shifting toward me like a tide. "Family," she announced, tapping the mic. "Tonight we celebrate Alvaro, and we celebrate new beginnings." People cheered. I felt my stomach tighten. New beginnings usually mean someone gets left behind. Mireia lifted a cream-colored envelope tied with a gold bow and held it up like a prize. "And we have something special for Rosa," she said, using my name like it was an item on a checklist. My cheeks went hot, but I kept my posture. She walked to me, still holding the mic, still smiling for everyone else. "We bought you a trip," she said brightly. "A fresh start, somewhere peaceful, away from all the stress. Away." That single word landed like a shove. The room clapped harder. "Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. She deserves it." Good for them. Sweet, deserves. Good. Everyone congratulating me for being removed. Mireia placed the envelope in my hands, her nails perfectly manicured, her touch light and possessive, like she was pinning a label onto me. I opened it right there. Inside was an itinerary. A one-way flight to Mexico City, 3 weeks at a wellness hotel, and a printed note in Mireia's handwriting. "Rosa, this is for your own good. Alvaro needs peace. We do too. Not, we love you. Not, we'll miss you. Peace. Peace without me." I lifted my eyes to my son. Alvaro was 3 steps away. 3. He looked at me, just long enough for me to think, please, say something. Then he did the micro gesture that broke me. He glanced away, let out a nervous half-laugh with his cousin, and raised his glass like the toast could wash the poison off the moment. Mireia glanced at him, like she was asking permission, and he gave it, with silence. A cousin near the dance floor lifted his phone, recording. A woman at the dessert table said, "Aw," like she was watching a proposal. I felt the heat climb up my neck, but I didn't give them a show. Because when someone wants to erase you, the first thing they try to steal is your reaction. I forced my voice to stay calm. "Okay," I said. One word. No tears. No yelling. The applause got even louder. Mireia smiled, satisfied, like she'd won something. She leaned in for a quick hug, still holding the mic. And in that split second, I felt it. Her hand brushed my purse. Quick, casual, like checking a pocket. My entire body went cold. I tightened my grip on the strap and smiled harder. Then I stayed exactly long enough to keep my dignity. 2 minutes of small talk. One forced laugh, one polite nod. And when Mireia turned away to accept compliments for being so thoughtful, I walked out. Not running, not crying, just leaving. Outside, the night air hit my face like truth. I sat in my car with both hands on the steering wheel, the envelope on the passenger seat, my heart beating steady and furious. At home, I didn't collapse. I didn't call my sister. I didn't post online. I went straight to the drawer where I keep paperwork. Contracts, statements, receipts, old tax documents. I pulled out a thick folder and laid it on my kitchen table like a map before a war. Because Mireia forgot one detail. I don't attend events as decoration. I attend as the person who signs. And in my world, whoever signs, Controls, endings. I made one call. Javier Rivera, I said when he answered. It's Rosa Calderon. I need you first thing in the morning. He heard something in my voice and didn't ask questions. 8 a.m., he said. Bring everything. I hung up, and I stared at the itinerary again. Mexico City, 3 weeks. Wellness. No, it wasn't wellness. It was distance. It was time. It was a clean window for someone back home to move their hands through my life like it was an open drawer. And I realized, quietly, clearly, Mireya didn't want me rested. She wanted me gone. I slept in pieces. Not because I was heartbroken, because I was on alert. At 6 a.m., I made coffee and opened my folder at the kitchen table. My hands weren't shaking. My mind was too focused for that. I reread the note Mireya had slipped into the envelope. Alvaro needs peace. We do too. That sentence told me everything. It wasn't about my comfort. It was about their control. At 8 sharp, Javier Rivera walked in with a leather briefcase, and the kind of face you only get when you've watched families tear themselves apart over money and pride. What happened? He asked. I told him straight. The mic, the applause, the trip, my son's silence. Javier didn't gasp. He didn't say, how awful. He inhaled slowly, like he was already calculating the next 10 moves. Then he asked one question that made my stomach drop. Did she ever touch your phone? Your banking app? I hesitated. One time, I admitted. She helped me set it up, said I was slow, wrote things down. Javier raised his hand gently. Don't blame yourself. This is a playbook. They make you feel old and inconvenient, so you hand over access. He opened his notebook. We do 3 things today, he said. 1, change every password. 2, add a verbal passcode with the bank. 3, stop taking emotional calls from your son. Everything in writing. But he's my son, I said. Javier looked at me, steady. And he stayed silent, he replied. That was a choice. My phone vibrated, like the universe was underlining his words. Alvaro texted, Mom, don't take it the wrong way. Mireya's just trying to help. This is for your own good. For your own good. That phrase is a cage made out of kindness. Javier pointed at my screen. Don't answer. He'll think I'm punishing him. Good, Javier said. Not cruel. Practical. Let him feel discomfort. Discomfort is what breaks denial. We changed everything. Bank password, email password, 2-factor authentication, security questions. Javier called a contact at the bank and requested a protective note on my accounts. No changes without my verbal passcode. No third-party additions. No address updates without verification. Then he leaned back. Now we wait, he said. Wait for what? The first paper, he replied. They always need a paper, a signature, a form. That's when their smile turns into evidence. It didn't take long. At 10:17 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Ms. Calderon? A woman asked, professional and hurried. This is Patricia from the travel agency. We're finalizing your package. We just need your electronic signature to regularize the file today. My spine went straight. Electronic signature? I repeated. It's routine, Patricia said. Your daughter-in-law told us you wanted everything smooth. She said, you sometimes get anxious with paperwork. Anxious with paperwork. No, Mireya gets anxious when paperwork isn't under her control. Javier held out his hand. Give me the phone. I put it on speaker instead. Patricia, Javier said calmly. I'm Javier Rivera, Ms. Calderon's attorney. Send every document by email. No signatures will be given by phone, and no information will be shared with third parties. There was a pause. Attorney? Patricia asked, startled. Yes, Javier replied. Also confirm in writing what the package includes and what it doesn't. Patricia stammered. Of course. Yes, sir. We hung up. Javier looked at me. That was the first pull, he said. They need your signature while you're distracted. My phone buzzed with a text from Mireya almost immediately. Rosa, sweetheart, don't complicate this. Just sign the form and enjoy your trip. I'm trying to make it easy for you. Easy. Abuse is always disguised as easy. I screenshot it. Javier nodded. Good, he said. Save everything. Then the bank notification hit my phone like a slap. Security alert. Attempted account profile update detected. My heart didn't race. My blood went cold. Javier's eyes narrowed. There it is, he said quietly. They moved. I called the bank with my passcode and asked the representative to read the note on my file. She did. Ms. Calderon, there was an attempt this morning to update contact preferences and add an authorized representative. It was flagged and blocked. Do you see who attempted it? I asked. The representative hesitated. I can see it was requested through a third-party channel, she said carefully. It lists it as family assistance. Family assistance. That was Mireya's favorite costume. The hero. I swallowed. I authorize no one, I said. Log that statement, and I want a report. Understood, the rep replied. We'll open a case. When I hung up, Mireya texted again, this time less sweet. Who's filling your head with this? You're going to embarrass Alvaro. Just sign and stop being difficult. There it was, not concern. Control. Javier exhaled. Rosa, he said. Here's the truth. The trip is the stage. The paperwork is the weapon. What happens when I arrive? I asked. Javier's voice got quieter. Your card declines, he said. You get stranded. You panic. You call your son. Your daughter-in-law rescues you. If you sign. I stared at him. Because that's exactly what I felt in my bones. A trap you only recognize once your foot is already inside. Javier wrote one sentence on a notepad and slid it toward me. From today on, everything is in writing. Speak to my attorney. That's what you send your son, he said. And if Mireya contacts you again, you don't argue. You forward it to me. My throat tightened. This is going to blow up. Javier nodded once. Yes, he said. But here's the difference. They wanted you far away so you couldn't react. He tapped the folder on my table. And you're reacting with a paper trail. I looked at the itinerary again. Mexico City, 3 weeks. Wellness? No, it wasn't wellness. It was a window. And I was about to close it, right on Mireya's fingers. Mexico City hit me with noise and motion the moment I stepped out of the terminal. Rolling suitcases, loudspeaker announcements, families hugging like they'd been waiting a year. I stood there with my carry-on and that cream envelope still inside my purse like a quiet insult. The air smelled like coffee and exhaust and perfume. And all I could think was, she wanted me far away. Because far away is where humiliation becomes quiet. No witnesses, no neighbors, no aunties who might pull you aside and whisper, that was wrong. Just you, alone, trying to keep your dignity from cracking. The hotel Mireya booked looked like a postcard. Glass doors, polished floors, a lobby that smelled like citrus cleaner and money. A couple sat on a velvet bench taking selfies. A concierge floated past like he didn't touch the ground. I walked up to the front desk and offered my ID. The receptionist smiled professionally, tapped at her keyboard, then nodded. Welcome, Ms. Calderon. We have your reservation. We just need the security deposit. I blinked. Deposit? Yes, ma'am. $200. It's refundable at checkout. My throat tightened. The itinerary said paid. Mireya had made sure of that, so she could look generous on a microphone. But this deposit wasn't about generosity. It was about leverage. Okay, I said calmly, and slid my card across the counter. The receptionist swiped. A small beep. She tried again. Another beep. Then the words appeared on her screen and her smile adjusted. Still polite, but now guarded. I'm sorry, ma'am. It declined. My face stayed neutral. My body did not. Inside, my stomach dropped like an elevator. Try it again, I said. She did. Declined. She angled the terminal toward me. You can insert the chip if you'd like. I inserted it. Waited. Held my breath like a fool. Declined. The receptionist looked up. Do you have another card? I opened my wallet. I had cash. Some. Not enough for 3 weeks of deposits, meals, and emergency transportation. Not enough to be exiled comfortably. A tourist behind me cleared his throat impatiently. And the worst part wasn't the decline. It was the feeling. The exact feeling Mireya wanted me to have. Small, dependent, trapped. The receptionist lowered her voice like she was trying to help. Sometimes banks block transactions when customers travel, ma'am. You may need to call. I nodded. Thank you. I stepped aside, away from the line, and dialed my bank. Hold music. A recorded voice telling me my call was important. My hand gripped my phone so hard my fingers tingled. Finally, a representative answered. I gave my name, my birth date, the new passphrase Javier helped me set. The representative paused. Ms. Calderon, I'm seeing a security flag on the account. My spine went straight. What kind of flag? There was an attempted profile update and request to add an authorized representative, she said carefully. It was blocked, but it triggered a review. My mouth went dry. Who tried to add a representative? I asked. I can't see the individual's full identity on my end, she replied, but it came through a third-party channel listed as family assistance. Family assistance. That phrase made my skin crawl, because it's what people call control when they don't want to say control. I didn't authorize anyone, I said, slow and clear. Log that, and keep the block. Yes, ma'am, she replied. We can place a temporary hold while a case is reviewed to protect you. A hold. A protection. My money. Locked. For my safety. Exactly how Mireya wanted it. I thanked the rep, hung up, and stared at the lobby as if it might explain itself. The receptionist approached gently. Were you able to reach them? Yes, I said. They placed a hold. Her eyebrows lifted in sympathy. I'm sorry, ma'am. Behind her, that couple on the velvet bench laughed over their selfies. The concierge glided past again. The world kept moving while my life got paused. My phone buzzed. Alvaro. Text. Mom, did you land? Mireya says don't stress, just enjoy the trip. This is for your own good, for your own good. I read it twice. My jaw tightened. That phrase wasn't love. It was a leash. Then another message. Mireya. Rosa, sweetheart, tell me your passphrase and I'll handle the bank. I already talked to them. I actually laughed. One short sound with no humor in it. There it was. Her hand reaching for the lock, pretending she was the key. I didn't answer. I opened a note on my phone and started documenting. Time of decline. Bank flag. Attempted representative. Then I walked back to the front desk. Can you email me a written note? I asked the receptionist, confirming the deposit requirement and that my card declined. She blinked, surprised by the request. Yes, I can. Please, I said. And also confirm what parts were prepaid. She nodded. Of course. That email would be a brick in my wall. I wasn't going to scream in a lobby. I wasn't going to beg my son. I was going to build a case. I stepped outside into the bright Mexico City afternoon and sat on a low stone bench near the entrance, my suitcase beside me like a loyal dog. Then I called Javier. He answered on the second ring. Tell me. My card declined at the hotel, I said. The bank says there's a flag. Someone tried to add an authorized rep under family assistance. They're holding my account. Javier didn't sound surprised. He sounded satisfied. Good, he said. That confirms intent. Good? My voice cracked slightly before I caught it. I'm stuck. Temporarily, he corrected. And that's part of the trap. They want you stranded so you panic and give them access. Don't. I swallowed. Mireya asked for my passphrase. Perfect, Javier said. Screenshot it. Save it. Forward it to me. I did. Now, Javier continued, we need you to do two things. Ask the bank for a written confirmation of the attempted representative request. And get written confirmation from the hotel. I'm already doing that. I know, he said. That's why she miscalculated you. She thought you'd be embarrassed and quiet. I stared at the moving traffic, the people, the endless city. And for the first time since the microphone, I felt something shift. Not peace, clarity. Because now it wasn't just suspicion, it was record. It was proof. And Mireya had made the mistake I was waiting for. She touched paper. That night I didn't stay at the wellness hotel. I booked a modest room through an app. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just a place where I could lock the door and think. Because I wasn't going to sit in the trap they designed and pretend it was comfort. I lay on the bed fully dressed for a long time, staring at the ceiling, listening to unfamiliar city sounds outside the window. Then my email pinged. The subject line made my stomach tighten. Documents required. Please sign today. It was from the travel agency. I opened it. Attached was a form titled Something Harmless. Authorization for assistance while traveling. Harmless. That's how wolves label themselves when they walk into your house. I scrolled, and there it was. I hereby appoint a representative to manage banking and administrative matters on my behalf. Representative. Manage banking. On my behalf. That was power of attorney language wearing a costume. Below that paragraph was a space for my digital signature. One click and Mireya could legally speak for me. My hands went cold. Javier had predicted it. They always need paper, he'd said. That's when their smile turns into evidence. My phone buzzed right as I stared at the signature line. Alvaro calling. I didn't answer. He texted instead. Mom, stop doing this. Mireya is stressed. Just sign the form so she can help. Don't make her the villain. Make her the villain. As if I was writing the script. As if she hadn't stepped up to a microphone and pushed me out with applause. I copied the text, pasted it into my notes, and forwarded everything to Javier. Email, attachments, timestamp. Then I replied to Alvaro with one sentence, the way Javier coached me. From today on, everything is in writing. Speak to my attorney. 30 seconds later, my phone rang again. Alvaro, then Mireya, then Alvaro again. I let it ring. Because I'd learned something late in life, but learned it well. When you stop reacting, manipulators panic. And when they panic, they make mistakes. The next morning, the bank called me. Not the automated line, but a fraud department number. Ms. Calderon, a man said, calm and direct. We're calling about an attempt to change your notification settings and add an authorized representative. Did you request that? No, I said immediately. And I want it documented. It is, he replied. We also received a secondary request to redirect statements to a new email address. My heart slammed once. What email? He read it. It was Mireya's. I closed my eyes, because now I had the full picture. She wasn't just trying to get access. She was trying to cut off my access, to make me blind, to make me dependent. The man continued. We're escalating this to a formal investigation and keeping a protective hold. Your attorney's note is already attached to your file. What do you need from me? I asked. Confirm that no one has permission, he said. And we recommend you file an identity fraud report if you believe someone attempted impersonation. Send me the report, I said. I want everything in writing. Understood. When I hung up, Mireya's message arrived. Sweet again, like poison in a pretty bottle. Rosa, you're making this hard. Give me the passphrase and I'll fix it in 5 minutes. Alvaro is suffering. You love your son, right? There it was. Love used like a rope. I forwarded it to Javier. He called me immediately. Rosa, he said, that message is coercion. Keep it. Do not respond. I won't, I said. Good, he replied. Now we do the part she doesn't expect. What part? We put her in front of the paper, Javier said, voice low. Not on your terms emotionally, on your terms legally. What do you mean? I'm preparing a cease and desist notice, he said. And we're sending it to her, the bank, and the agency. It will state clearly, no third-party assistance, no representative requests, no redirection, no signature solicitations. Any further attempt is reported as fraud. My throat tightened. That's going to blow up my son's marriage. Javier didn't soften his answer. Rosa, her actions already blew it up. You're just turning the lights on. I swallowed hard. Alvaro still thinks I'm overreacting. Then he needs to see the form, Javier said, and the bank report. He needs something his denial can't swallow. That afternoon, I emailed Alvaro a packet, just like Javier instructed. No yelling, no long paragraphs, just facts. The agency form with appoint a representative, highlighted. The bank's fraud department call summary. The email address Mireya tried to redirect statements to. Mireya's texts asking for my passphrase. And one sentence, I'm not arguing. I'm protecting myself. I waited. 10 minutes, 20, 30, nothing. Then my phone rang. Alvaro. I answered. His voice sounded different. Not angry, not defensive, shaken. Mama, he started, and the way he said it, soft, raw, made my throat sting. Did you read it? I asked. A pause. Yes, he whispered. What is this representative thing? It's access, I said. It's control. But she told me, he began. She told you it was help, I finished. Because help is the word that makes good people stop asking questions. Silence. Then I heard a small sound, like he covered the phone with his hand and took a breath. My God, he said quietly, like he wasn't talking to me but to the truth. And in that moment, I didn't feel victory. I felt grief. Because the son I raised was finally seeing what his wife was, and what he'd allowed. Mom, he said, voice cracking. Your card really declined? Yes, I said. And I'm here alone because she thought that would make me fold. Another pause. Then faintly, I heard another voice in the background. Mireya's. Who are you talking to? She asked, sharp. Alvaro didn't answer her immediately. He stayed quiet. And that silence, his silence, was the first crack in her control. Because for the first time, he wasn't protecting her with a laugh. Mexico City hit me with noise and motion the moment I stepped out of the terminal. Rolling suitcases, loudspeaker announcements, families hugging like they'd been waiting a year. I stood there with my carry-on and that cream envelope still inside my purse like a quiet insult. The air smelled like coffee and exhaust and perfume. And all I could think was, she wanted me far away. Because far away is where humiliation becomes quiet. No witnesses, no neighbors, no aunties who might pull you aside and whisper, that was wrong. Just you, alone, trying to keep your dignity from cracking. The hotel Mireya booked looked like a postcard. Glass doors, polished floors, a lobby that smelled like citrus cleaner and money. A couple sat on a velvet bench taking selfies. A concierge floated past like he didn't touch the ground. I walked up to the front desk and offered my ID. The receptionist smiled professionally, tapped at her keyboard, then nodded. "Welcome, Ms. Calderon. We have your reservation. We just need the security deposit." I blinked. "Deposit?" "Yes, ma'am. $200. It's refundable at checkout." My throat tightened. The itinerary said paid. Mireya had made sure of that, so she could look generous on a microphone. But this deposit wasn't about generosity. It was about leverage. "Okay," I said calmly, and slid my card across the counter. The receptionist swiped. A small beep. She tried again. Another beep. Then the words appeared on her screen and her smile adjusted. Still polite, but now guarded. "I'm sorry, ma'am." It declined. My face stayed neutral. My body did not. Inside, my stomach dropped like an elevator. "Try it again," I said. She did. Declined. She angled the terminal toward me. "You can insert the chip if you'd like." I inserted it. Waited. Held my breath like a fool. Declined. The receptionist looked up. "Do you have another card?" I opened my wallet. I had cash. Some. Not enough for 3 weeks of deposits, meals, and emergency transportation. Not enough to be exiled comfortably. A tourist behind me cleared his throat impatiently. And the worst part wasn't the decline. It was the feeling. The exact feeling Mireya wanted me to have. Small, dependent, trapped. The receptionist lowered her voice like she was trying to help. "Sometimes banks block transactions when customers travel, ma'am. You may need to call." I nodded. "Thank you." I stepped aside, away from the line, and dialed my bank. Hold music. A recorded voice telling me my call was important. My hand gripped my phone so hard my fingers tingled. Finally, a representative answered. I gave my name, my birth date, the new passphrase Javier helped me set. The representative paused. "Ms. Calderon, I'm seeing a security flag on the account." My spine went straight. "What kind of flag?" "There was an attempted profile update and request to add an authorized representative," she said carefully. "It was blocked, but it triggered a review." My mouth went dry. "Who tried to add a representative?" I asked. "I can't see the individual's full identity on my end," she replied, "but it came through a third-party channel listed as family assistance." Family assistance. That phrase made my skin crawl. Because it's what people call control when they don't want to say control. "I didn't authorize anyone," I said, slow and clear. "Log that, and keep the block." "Yes, ma'am," she replied. "We can place a temporary hold while a case is reviewed to protect you." A hold. A protection. My money, locked, for my safety. Exactly how Mireya wanted it. I thanked the rep, hung up, and stared at the lobby as if it might explain itself. The receptionist approached gently. "Were you able to reach them?" "Yes," I said. They placed a hold. Her eyebrows lifted in sympathy. "I'm sorry, ma'am." Behind her, that couple on the velvet bench laughed over their selfies. The concierge glided past again. The world kept moving while my life got paused. My phone buzzed. Alvaro. Text. "Mom, did you land? Mireya says don't stress, just enjoy the trip. This is for your own good, for your own good." I read it twice. My jaw tightened. That phrase wasn't love. It was a leash. Then another message. "Mireya. Rosa, sweetheart, tell me your passphrase and I'll handle the bank. I already talked to them." I actually laughed. One short sound with no humor in it. There it was. Her hand reaching for the lock, pretending she was the key. I didn't answer. I opened a note on my phone and started documenting. Time of decline. Bank flag. Attempted representative. Then I walked back to the front desk. "Can you email me a written note?" I asked the receptionist, confirming the deposit requirement and that my card declined. She blinked, surprised by the request. "Yes, I can. Please," I said. "And also confirm what parts were prepaid." She nodded. Of course. That email would be a brick in my wall. I wasn't going to scream in a lobby. I wasn't going to beg my son. I was going to build a case. I stepped outside into the bright Mexico City afternoon and sat on a low stone bench near the entrance, my suitcase beside me like a loyal dog. Then I called Javier. He answered on the second ring. "Tell me." "My card declined at the hotel," I said. "The bank says there's a flag. Someone tried to add an authorized rep under family assistance. They're holding my account." Javier didn't sound surprised. He sounded satisfied. "Good," he said. "That confirms intent." "Good?" My voice cracked slightly before I caught it. "I'm stuck. Temporarily," he corrected. "And that's part of the trap. They want you stranded so you panic and give them access." "Don't." I swallowed. Mireya asked for my passphrase. "Perfect," Javier said. "Screenshot it. Save it. Forward it to me. I did. Now, Javier continued, we need you to do 2 things. Ask the bank for a written confirmation of the attempted representative request, and get written confirmation from the hotel. I'm already doing that. I know, he said. That's why she miscalculated you. She thought you'd be embarrassed and quiet. I stared at the moving traffic, the people, the endless city, and for the first time since the microphone, I felt something shift. Not peace, clarity. Because now it wasn't just suspicion, it was record. It was proof. And Mireya had made the mistake I was waiting for. She touched paper. 2 days after the call where my son finally sounded shaken, I got another email. Not from the bank, not from the travel agency, from Mireya herself. Subject line, we need to finalize this today. Inside was a single line, sweet as syrup. Rosa, I'm trying to protect you. Please sign the authorization so we can fix your accounts and get you settled. Protect, fix, settle. 3 words that sounded like care, but tasted like handcuffs. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to Javier. Then I did something Mireya didn't expect. I stopped playing the stranded mother role. I booked a flight back to Houston for the next morning, because the only reason she wanted me out of the country was so she could touch my life without my eyes on it. And I was done letting anyone move my pieces while I sat politely in the corner. Javier met me at my apartment as soon as I landed. He didn't hug me. He didn't give me a speech. He opened his briefcase and laid 1 paper on my table. 1. Crisp sheet, official header, clean lines. It looked harmless, like a piece of stationery, but I could feel its weight like a blade. This is the notice, he said. Cease and desist. It goes to Mireya, the bank's fraud unit, and the agency. Today. I stared at it. I don't want to destroy my son, I said quietly. Javier's eyes didn't move. Rosa, he replied. Your son stayed silent while you were pushed out with applause. You're not destroying a family. You're refusing to be used as flooring. My phone buzzed like it knew we were talking about him. Alvaro. Text. Mom, we need to talk. Mireya is freaking out. This is getting out of control. Out of control. That was the truth, finally, because it wasn't out of control when Mireya held the mic. It only became out of control when I touched paper. Javier nodded toward the text. Don't argue, he said. 1 sentence. I typed, from now on, everything is in writing. Please speak to my attorney. I hit send. Less than a minute later, my doorbell rang. 3 sharp presses. And when I opened the door, there they were. Alvaro in front, eyes red, jaw tight, looking like a man who hadn't slept. Behind him, Mireya wearing sunglasses indoors like she was hiding a personality. She tried to step past him into my apartment like she owned air. Rosa, she said, voice too bright, we're here to fix this. You're making it bigger than it needs to be. I didn't move. I let the silence hang until it made her uncomfortable. Then I said calmly, I'm not making it bigger. I'm making it documented. Mireya laughed once, short, sharp. Oh my God, documented. Really? You're going to do this to your own son? Alvaro looked at me like he wanted me to take responsibility for the tension in his house. Mom, he said, exhausted. Can we just talk without lawyers? Please. I stared at him and felt 2 emotions at once, love and something harder. Where was that please when she used a microphone to push me out? I asked softly. Alvaro flinched. Mireya stepped forward. Nobody pushed you out. You're twisting it. Javier's voice came from behind me. Good morning, Mireya, he said. Mireya froze so fast it was almost comical. Her lips tightened. Her shoulders stiffened. Because she hadn't come prepared to face a professional. She came prepared to face an emotional mother. Javier stepped into view with that calm lawyer posture that says, I don't need to raise my voice. I just need the record. Mireya, he continued, thanks for coming. Your presence simplifies the process. Her sunglasses dipped slightly as she looked at him. This is my family, she snapped, not your courtroom. And yet, Javier replied, you attempted to add yourself as an authorized representative on Ms. Calderon's bank account. You solicited her passphrase. You sent power of attorney language disguised as a travel form. Alvaro's head turned sharply toward Mireya. What? He asked, stunned. POA language? Mireya's laugh sounded thin now. Alvaro, stop. He's exaggerating. It was just help. I finished for her. Mireya's eyes cut to me. I didn't blink. Javier opened his folder and slid the printed authorization for assistance document onto my kitchen table. He pointed to the paragraph. I hereby appoint a representative. Then he placed a second paper down, bank fraud unit summary. Then a third, Mireya's text asking for my passphrase. He didn't throw them at her. He set them down like stones. Mireya's mouth opened, then closed. She looked at Alvaro, seeking the same permission she always sought. But Alvaro didn't rescue her immediately this time. He stared at the papers like a man seeing his life from the outside. "Mireya," he said slowly, "why did you put your email on my mom's bank statements?" Mireya's head jerked. "Because your mother forgets things," she snapped. "I was trying to keep us safe. Safe." Another word, another costume. Javier slid the one crisp sheet, the cease and desist, toward her. "Mireya," he said, "this is the notice. From now on, any contact with Ms. Calderon's finances, contracts, banking, or identity is prohibited. Any attempt is reported as fraud." Mireya stared at the paper like it might bite. Alvaro swallowed, his voice smaller now. "Is this why Mom's card declined?" he asked. I answered quietly. "Yes," Mireya exploded. "Because she's being dramatic. She wants to punish me. She hates me." "No," I said, still calm. "You wanted me out of the country so you could move quietly." Mireya's cheeks flushed. "Who do you think you are?" she hissed. "You're an old woman. You don't even need all this money. You're alone." There it was. The cruelty without lipstick. Alvaro looked like he'd been slapped. "Mireya," he said, voice rising. "What is wrong with you?" Mireya snapped her head toward him. "I'm trying to protect our future," she shouted. "Your mother is a problem in our marriage." Then she said the line that killed whatever sympathy might have remained. "We bought her a trip because she needed to be out of the way." Out of the way. Not rested, not happy. Out of the way. Javier didn't look at me. He looked at Alvaro. "Sir?" he asked. "Did you authorize your wife to attempt to obtain power of attorney over your mother?" Alvaro's lips parted, and for once he didn't dodge. "No," he said. "Did you authorize your wife to contact the bank or redirect statements?" "No," Alvaro repeated, louder. Mireya's face tightened, because the room, the same room that clapped her performance, wasn't clapping now. It was listening, and the record was sitting on my table. Mireya tried to regain control the only way she knew how, by turning everything into emotion so nobody could focus on facts. She started crying. Not soft crying, strategic crying. "Look what you're doing to me," she sobbed, pressing her fingers under her eyes like she was wiping away a problem. "You're humiliating me. Humiliating." The irony almost made me smile. Alvaro's shoulders sagged. I could see the old pattern trying to return, him rushing to calm her so peace would come back. He took a step toward her. "Mireya, just..." Javier raised a hand gently. "No," he said, calm but firm. "Not like this." Mireya glared at him through wet lashes. "And who are you to tell us what..." Javier looked at me. "Rosa," he said, "we're going to ask one question, and her answer decides the next step." He pulled out a small folder. Inside was a printed copy of a form that made Mireya's breathing change. Not the travel form. Another one. A general authorization document that had been attached to the travel agency email thread, buried like a snake in grass. It included broader language, bank accounts, property records, administrative representation. In big letters at the top, power of attorney, limited. Mireya's lips turned pale. Alvaro stared. "I never saw that," he whispered. Javier placed it on the table and pointed to the signature line. "Mireya," he said. "This was sent with instructions that Rosa signed today." Mireya shook her head fast. "That's not mine. That's not..." Javier didn't argue. He simply motioned toward the doorway. "Come in," he called. And that's when Mireya truly lost color. Because two people stepped into my apartment behind Javier. One was a calm, middle-aged woman in a simple suit carrying a small stamp kit. The other was my neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, holding her phone like she wasn't sure if she should be filming but didn't want to miss the truth. "Mireya," Javier said, "this is Carla Santos, mobile notary and document witness." Mireya's voice jumped an octave. "You brought a notary? Are you serious?" Carla's tone was polite, professional, deadly. "I'm here to ask a single verification question," she said. Mireya laughed nervously. "This is insane." Carla didn't blink. She slid the POA form closer. "Mireya," she said, "do you recognize this signature as Rosa Calderon's?" "That's it. One question. Simple. No drama, no microphone. Just truth with a sharp edge." Mireya froze. Not metaphorically. Her eyes moved left to right like she was searching for a lie that fit the line. She looked at Alvaro. Seeking permission. Seeking rescue. Alvaro stared back at her, and something in his face hardened. "Answer," he said quietly. Mireya's mouth opened, closed. She swallowed. Finally, she said, barely audible. No. Carla nodded once. And did you instruct anyone to push this document for signature today? Carla asked. Mireya snapped. I don't know. I don't handle paperwork. Javier held up the printed email. It included a line from Mireya. Have her sign without reading too much. It's routine. He didn't read it dramatically. He just placed it on the table like a final tile in a picture. Alvaro stared at it. His hands shook as he picked it up. Mireya, he whispered. Did you write this? Mireya's breath came faster now. You're taking it out of context, she said, voice thin. Your mother is paranoid. She's always been controlling. She wants to ruin us. Alvaro's eyes flashed. Stop, he said. That word, stop, hit the room harder than any shout I'd heard from him in years. Mireya blinked as if she didn't understand how to respond to a boundary. Alvaro, she hissed, you're choosing her over me. No, he replied, voice breaking but steady. I'm choosing the truth over fear. Silence fell, heavy and real. Mrs. Henderson shifted in the doorway. Her phone stayed up. Carla quietly made a note and placed her stamp kit back into her bag. Javier slid one final paper toward Mireya, the cease and desist. This is effective immediately, he said. Any further attempt to obtain signatures, access accounts, redirect statements, or represent Ms. Calderon will be reported and pursued. Mireya looked like she wanted to throw it across the room, but she didn't, because she knew throwing paper doesn't erase paper. She stood abruptly. This is a betrayal, she spat, eyes shining with rage now, not tears. I did everything for this family. I finally spoke, still calm. No, I said. You did everything for control. Mireya turned on me. You're going to die alone, she snapped, the way cruel people always end arguments, by trying to predict your pain. I nodded once. Maybe, I said, but I'll live the rest of my life with respect, and you can't buy that with a microphone. Alvaro looked like he might collapse. Mom, he whispered. I'm sorry. I didn't rush to comfort him, not because I didn't love him, but because I wasn't going back to being the one who fixes what others break. I placed my hand on his shoulder gently. Don't apologize with words, I said. Apologize with actions. Alvaro nodded, swallowing hard. Javier spoke like a man closing a file. Alvaro, he said, you'll email the bank and the agency today, confirming you did not authorize your wife to act for your mother. You'll also request copies of every communication. Alvaro nodded again. Mireya stared at him, disbelief turning into panic. You're going to let them do this to me? She demanded. Alvaro didn't look away. You did this, he said. Mireya's face tightened like ice under pressure. For a second, I thought she'd scream. Instead, she walked to the door. Fast, stiff, humiliated by the very thing she loved most. A room that wasn't on her side. At the threshold, she turned back. This isn't over, she said. Javier's voice stayed calm. It is over, he corrected, because it's on record. Mireya left. The door clicked shut, and the silence that followed didn't feel empty. It felt clean. Alvaro sat down, elbows on knees, staring at the floor like he was finally seeing how long he'd been living with his eyes lowered. I didn't know, he said, voice small. I nodded slowly. I know, I replied, but you knew she could humiliate me, and you stayed silent. That's what you have to fix. He looked up at me, eyes wet. Will you forgive me? I looked toward the window. I don't know, I said honestly, but I'll give you something better than quick forgiveness. What? Time, I said. Time for you to change for real. Alvaro nodded like he understood that was love without weakness. Weeks passed. The bank completed their investigation. The fraud unit kept the protective measures in place. The agency sent copies of every email thread, every routine request, every pushed signature, every helpful instruction, and each new page made Mireya smaller in the story she'd tried to control. Alvaro started therapy. He told me that himself one afternoon, standing awkwardly in my doorway like he didn't know if he deserved to come in. I've been living like peace is the same thing as silence, he said. I held his gaze. Peace without truth is just quiet abuse, I replied. He nodded, and for the first time in a long time, I saw my son look at me like a son again, not like a boy looking for permission. When he left, I stood in my kitchen and looked at the folder on the table. The papers weren't why I felt safe. They were proof of something bigger, that I had finally stopped handing myself away to keep everyone else comfortable. Because the real freeze wasn't Mireya staring at a document. It was Mireya realizing that once control breaks, it doesn't come back with applause. It only comes back with humility, and she didn't have any.